everybody, Mike here, baseball collector, and I am doing something a little bit different today. I am on my webcam here, and it's because I want to do a little bit different format video today, and I'm going to be talking about a topic that I think is timely and you may hopefully find valuable. The World Series is in Game 6 tomorrow. The Astros are up 3-2. That's about to be over. Once we get through the World Series, the baseball world's going to start turning its attention to a couple of things. You're going to have free agency coming up, and you're going to have the Hall of Fame voting that's going to be happening. First, the Veterans Committee will vote in December. Then in January, the results from the writers' ballots will come out. And there's one guy on the ballot this year that is an absolute no-doubter, no-brainer Hall of Famer, and that's Derek Jeter. The only question for Derek Jeter isn't if he's going to get in or not. It's simply, is he going to get 100% of the vote like his former teammate Mariano Rivera did last year? And the answer is probably no. I'm going to guess that Jeter's not going to get the 100%. I'm not saying he shouldn't or should. I don't really care. I just don't think. I think Mariano was kind of like the best that's ever been at his position, whereas Jeter's nowhere close to the best shortstop that's ever been. And so I just don't think Jeter's going to get 100% of the vote. And I just think some guys are going to be jerks about it and not vote for him. But the Hall of Fame voting is one of my favorite things to talk about every year because I'm a huge Hall of Fame guy. I always love debating who's going to get in, who's not, who should get in, who shouldn't. And then when whoever gets in, and how many cards do I have of theirs? And it adds things to my collection that I get to now move from future Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer, and that's always fun. So, but Jeter's an absolute going to happen whenever the announcement is made in late January. And so what I'm doing here is I want to talk about Derek Jeter cards and primarily his rookie card. Jeter has kind of four main rookie cards. He's got the 93 SP. He's got 93 tops, 93 score, and a 93 upper deck. And really what I'm here to talk about is not this one. This is the SP right here. I have a PSA 7 in that card. We'll talk about that in a second. And then but what I want to talk about is the tops card because I think that's an incredibly underrated Derek Jeter rookie card. And I'm going to compare it and show you some things on my screen here as to why I think that is a really good value and something you might want to pick up. So here's what the tops card looks like. It's this one right here. I have this one in an 8. I have a mint 9. I have a gem mint 10. And then I have a mint 9 gold. So if you're in the Jeter market or you're thinking Jeter's going to be in the Hall of Fame, it's like, which one do I get? I mean, there's a lot of choices, lots of grades, lots of things. And I just showed you a whole stack of them that I have and let's go through it and let's just talk about it. First thing I'm going to do here is share my screen with you. So I'll be kind of looking towards my computer screen, but I'll make myself a little bit smaller there. So let's look at what's going on here. You can see up here, let me get over to where I can see it better. So this is kind of my Jeter analysis. I'm just a complete nerd when it comes to stats. And so what we're going to look at first here is the 93 tops. And what I've done here is I've looked at the populations of 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s. There's a total of 22,000 of these cards graded out there. And you can see the 7s, there's not many of those. 4% of the populations are 7s. You can get those for about $10. I did all this research last night, by the way. So PSA 8s, which I have one, there's 6,000 of those. So about a quarter of the market, a quarter of the population are 8s. They're about $15 right now. The 9s are easily the most available grade in the 93 tops Jeter. There's over 11,000 of those. So half the cards that are graded out there are 9s. And those still, sell for $37 on average. I paid for mine, which I just got yesterday, about $30, $30.39. You can see it right there. So that's what I paid for mine. And the 10s, which again, I got this one recently too, there's 2,400 of those. So about 10%, 11% of the pop is 10s. So not a ton. And they usually go for 265. I've seen them go as high as 300 right now. Or the one I got was from Four Sharp Corners at 246. And so the 10s are trading on an average 7 times more than a 9. And so this is where Eric gets into collect 9s and sell 10s. So the question is, which card do I buy? Well, obviously your budget's going to determine some of that. But let me go back real quick. Let's go down here to the 93 SP, because this is a card that a lot of us just aren't going to play in this world in terms of collectors. If you're an investor, it's a different thing. I'm not that. I'm a collector. But I think there's a unique opportunity here with Derek Jeter where you can look at some of his cards and maybe make a quick buck here or there on some of his cards if you do it right. So the 93 SP is just crazy. The PSA 7s, believe it or not, there's a ton of those there's 16,000 total graded, by the way. And then I'm going to compare it to the Topps Update Trout, by the way, later. But the 7s, currently 27%. They're selling for about $300, $280 to $300. I bought mine many years ago when it was still playing for $75. So if I wanted to sell it now, I'd be all right. I don't. But the 8s, as you can see here, there's over half of the cards that are graded are 8s. And that's pretty common with that card. The reason it's so expensive is because it's so condition sensitive. Those go for about $600, a little more. The PSA 9s, there's only 3.66% of the cards that have been graded have been 9s, which is why they command a price over $5,000. And the 10s are just crazy. There's only 22 of them on the Pop Report. So, 0.13% of all the Jeters that have been graded for the 93 SP are PSA 10s. Therefore, it's a $90,000 card. But what I'm wanting you to see here is the multiple on this card is interesting because a 10 is 17 times more expensive than a 9. And so there's this huge discrepancy in price just because the 10s are so super rare. The 9s are incredibly rare in and of themselves. So it's this crazy dynamic that's going on with that. So what I'd rather look at is a card that's maybe more affordable for most people, and that's either playing in the Topps world or the Topps Gold world. So as I finish with this, the Topps Golds are, I don't know why that keeps doing that, are 7 times more expensive than the 10s, are 7 times more expensive than the 9s. Let's look at the Golds, because that's maybe an interesting way to look at this. The Golds are certainly more rare, obviously, significantly more rare, as a matter of fact. There's 22,000 graded base cards. There's only 5,200 graded gold cards. And you'll notice that 7s aren't that big a deal. You can find, there's not many of them, but they're also cheap. 8s are more populous, but they're still only around $50. The 9s and 10s are interesting. They're half the cards that have been graded have graded out a 9, which is what I have. They go for around $130, and that's about what I paid for mine. The 10s, though, I don't know if you guys saw, B-Roth 6 pulled one straight from a Rookie Explosion box by Filmington, sent it into PSA, and it came back a 10, which is great for him. There's about 350 of them out there. So only 6.5% of the population are 10s, which is low. And so they command obviously a higher premium, about $928. But what's interesting about that is they're only still about 7 times more than a 9 is the cost of a 10, almost exactly in line with what the regular Topps cards cost in terms of multiple between a 9 and a 10. But if you're asking me if I'm going to own a card in my collection, I'm not going to pay 7 times more for a 9 versus a 10. I mean, if I pull these two cards out, the 9 and the 10, and I look at them right here and I go, yeah, maybe some slight centering issues, but pretty much when you look at both of them, they look dang near identical. And so I'm going to pay 7 times less for a 9 than I will a 10 all day of the week, every day of the week, twice on Sunday. And so, but I bought this 10. You're like, well, then Mike, why did you buy a 10? Well, and why did you buy the Topps Gold? And that's a great question. So I think both of those cards have a lot of room to grow over the next few months as we ramp up into Hall of Fame voting season, announcement day, things like that. I just think that those cards have some room. So the goal here would be, so the 8, and I'm not going to play in the SP market. I have a 7, and that's in my PC, and that's just what I'm going to have in my PC, because I think those are crazy priced as well. But the Topps card is a really cool looking card. The 8 is part of a set that I have. My Topps complete set from '93 had a graded Jeter with it, and it was an 8. The 9 I bought just to have as a PC card, as a nice PC card. And the 10 and the Topps Gold 9 are 2 cards that I think if they go up and do well, which I think they will, I might be willing to flip at some point in the future. Again, I'm a collector by nature, but again, I think this is kind of this unique scenario where these cards aren't crazy expensive, and they can be had reasonably cheap. There's not a ton of them out there, and so that's important. Let's go back to comparing it to like the Topps update. So if you look at the Topps update, and what I find intriguing about this is, you know, kind of think about, there's 2,400 PSA 10 93 Topps cards. The 2011 Topps update, there's already 4,500 of them graded. You're talking about, you know, almost 20 years later, 18 years later. So you've got better printing technology. People basically pull them and submit them. And so there's less time for those cards to get damaged. Things get graded quickly. 2/3 of the Topps update Trouts that have been sent into PSA have come back at 10. So 2 out of 3. Whereas 1 out of 10 cards that get sent in for grading for the 93 Topps Jeter get a 10. So you're just talking about a huge discrepancy. There's twice as many Trout 10s as there are Jeter 10s in the Topps card. And I get it. The Trout card is kind of seen as Trout's ultimate, you know, it's the kind of the flagship rookie kind of thing. Well, this is Jeter's flagship rookie. And I think those are kind of come back into vogue and becoming more and more popular. As cool as the SP is, and it's kind of seen as Jeter's best rookie card, that might be true, but you got to think, what can people buy? What can people really afford? And, you know, you're talking about a multiple between 9s and 10s on the Trout of only 2 times right here. You've got 9 trading at about, selling for about $500, just under, and 10s going for a little over $1,000. So I think more and more Trouts will be graded for sure over time, that these numbers will just continue to get higher and there's just be more of them. When you've got a flagship rookie of a Trout that's $1,000, and you've got Jeter up here, his 93 Topps card is at $265. I mean, that just seems like silliness to me. You've got Jeter, who's absolutely, you know, 3,000 hits, one of the greatest Yankees of all time. What does he have? 4 or 5 World Series rings, you know, on and on and on. Big time Hall of Famer. You got Trout, who's still growing in his career, and certainly Hall of Famer. He has to step in the batting box next year for his 10th year to be eligible, and he'll be a Hall of Famer. He could quit the next day and he'd get in. But to see this discrepancy in price is interesting to me. So as many, you certainly have a lot graded here on the 93 Topps. There's 22,000 of them, but it's been around so much longer, that card. It only makes sense that there would be so many more that have been graded over time. I think the Trout update will certainly catch that in terms of number out there graded. And so to me, I just think that this Topps Jeter card is affordable. And if you're into 10s and into things like that, then great. But my goal is not to keep the 10, it's to keep the 9, which again, look, you can get a 9 for $30. If you don't have a Topps Jeter rookie card in a 9 or better, or at 9 right now, what are you doing? You should be out there buying that because it's just so affordable. And it's because there's just so many of them. There's 11,000 of them out there. You and 11,000 of your friends can own a Jeter 9. But if you want to look at 10s, I think you might have an opportunity there in a couple of months to see that go up a little bit in value. I don't know what's my plan? Maybe to sell it, sell the 10 and the Jeter Gold. But right now I just like having them in my collection. So we'll kind of see. I was telling a friend about doing this video and he's like, oh, you're not going to really sell them. You don't sell anything. And he might be right. I might not ever sell them, but it is kind of cool to have them. And I just thought, man, I want to do this now before the craziness starts. And that's why I'm doing this video for you guys, is that that hype train is coming, and it's coming soon. Like within the next few weeks, that's going to all start. As we get into November and December, the Hall of Fame talk and chatter is only going to grow. So just be aware of that. Let me go back to here and just back to me. So there's some numbers that I ran just so you guys could kind of see what's up with that. What do you think down below? Let me know. Tell me, am I crazy? Tell me what you think about that Jeter Topps idea. What do you think about Jeter period? And let's just have a great discussion in the comments. So thanks everybody for watching. Hope you appreciated this. Hope you liked this format, a little bit different. Let me know what you think about that as well. I'd love to hear your feedback. And we'll catch you guys soon. Keep collecting.